Begin by sharing a little bit about yourself and sharing the background of how you started your company.
Well, my name is Dennis Calhoun. I am currently the president and owner of East Coast Distributors Incorporated. I'm a native of Conway, South Carolina. Um, right out of school, I started working for a construction company, learning the trade of construction work. Did mill work and staircases and cabinet work. Got a chance to be the cabinet maker's helper the first day on the job, and so I was interested in that trade. So I took and shortly thereafter I started in a little cabinet shop in my dad's pack house after about a year, and I did that at night and on Saturdays while I was still working full time with the construction company. And then in 1981, I decided to go full time with the cabinet business. I was like 20 years old, I think, at the time whenever I started the cabinet shop. I did that for 6 years. And while I was there, I took and saw the need for a supply house. We were having to order all of our materials in from out of town. We had to wait on them to come in on the trucks, and when you would need material, you'd have to wait 2 or 3 days or a week to get your supplies. So I felt like I could start a supply house for the cabinet shops, and I figured if it didn't work, I could always take the materials and go back into the cabinet business if I had to. But as it turned out, it worked out to be um, a pretty good trade. So I took and started that in 1987, which I had sold out the cabinet shop to my uncle. And I think I was like 25, 26 years old whenever I started East Coast Distributors. And then in 1998, I took and decided that I wanted to further, my career with the construction deal. So I ended up taking my general contractor's license test and became unlimited general contractor. The name of that company is DC Unlimited, and since then we have done several pretty good sized projects.
What is one of the challenges that you face as the owner and lead decision maker of your company?
I would say one of the biggest challenges as a small business owner would be setting yourself apart from the competition and trying to take and meet the competition as far as being competitive. Sometimes when you have to compete against the big corporations and the larger companies, you have to take and be creative in what you can do, and sometimes that means you have to take a calculated risk or take risks that you normally wouldn't want to have to take. And taking a risk sometimes will affect your employees, it affects your customers, it affects your your financials, your profit and loss. But sometimes you have to take that risk to meet the challenges. One challenge was making the decision to invest in new equipment to expand our product offerings.
Describe how you addressed the situation and why.
In 2006, I started looking for at new equipment to invest in. Um, I took and went to several different trade shows and made several trips to the factories and looking at different pieces of machinery. Um, I was actually looking at a big CNC machine, and in 2008 was whenever I finally, realized that that's what I was going to invest in. And then the concern was that it was close to the economy, how the economy was turning down, and I wasn't sure whether to make that decision or not, because I knew it was you weren't sure what the market was going to do. But I did go ahead and invest in the piece of equipment, and it was a major investment for me as a small business. It was about a $200,000 investment, which is huge on for a small business. In addition to the challenge of the financial part of the decision, then I had the challenge of creating a new market for this investment. Then I had the challenge of actually learning how to operate the machine, how to program the machine. So I had to go through training and go to schools for to learn how to operate the machine, because it was a machine that we had never had or didn't know anything of how to operate it. So I had the challenge to do that. Then I had the challenge of knowing how to price the product that we were making, because we were able to do a lot of different things with this machine, like cutting out cabinet parts, cabinet doors, shapes and arches. So, and you have to price it competitive so you can get the business, but you have to price it enough to where you can afford to pay for the machine. So that's another challenge that you have to kind of deal with. But it's been 10 years now, and it's proven to be a good investment. And I was worried about the economy, but as it turned out, it ended up being a great time to buy it, because a lot of my customers had to lay off people and didn't have the extra manpower to turn out the job that they were getting. So we were able to cut parts for them and turn out pieces for them that they did not have the ability to do themselves. So the risk actually paid off. So sometimes the reward is worth the challenge and worth the risk. And as far as my team's concerned, at the time that we purchased the machine, we had approximately 15 employees at two different locations, and the challenge to them was being able to learn the products that we had to offer, to be able to broaden our product offerings to our customers. So they had the challenge also of learning how to price the product, learning how to take and market the product, because marketing was a big thing with this particular machine, because it could do so much. So having the knowledge, and they had to get the training to be able to know what to tell the customers we could do, because it's just so many things that we're able to do. And then as it turned out with the economy, the recession that we had, I was able to keep all of our employees. We never had to lay off any employees, and that's as a result of having a machine. If we hadn't have had it, would have had to lay off some employees. But we were able to maintain all of them, through the recession time, and so that was a plus for my employees, and a plus for our company. As a result of making this decision to invest in this machinery, it has been beneficial to our customers, because it's allowed them to take on jobs that they normally would not have been able to take, because of the different designs and the shapes and the product offerings that we could help them with. As far as my team's concerned, we were able to go to trade shows. We was able to get more proper training on the machinery. It helped us to expand our network with other businesses, and they learned the skills needed to operate the machine. And as a result of that, we've had the machine for 10 years now, and we have not had a day with the last 10 years that we did not have a job to do with the machine. So altogether, it's been a good investment for our company.
What were the lessons that you learned from this experience?
Another lesson I've learned that it's a team effort when you're trying to offer new products and new services. So it takes everybody being on board to meet that challenge. Also, it's scary when you're being responsible for the well-being of your employees and your family. So you have to be careful, with that. But then sometimes you have to take the risk in order to reach your goals. I would say one of the biggest lessons learned is that you want to think before acting, because sometimes when you're going to make the big risk, you need to do due diligence to whatever investment you're doing. Take the time to research it, to make sure that you've done your homework, because you don't want to make a decision too quick that's going to be detrimental to your business and to your family. And then also lessons learned that it's a team effort for your employees, to where you all have to be on the same page to be able to offer new products to your customers, and make decisions on new products and new offerings. but then also sometimes you have to take a risk in order to meet your goal.